All right, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in to the relieffactor.com studio, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Listen, I think you guys are going to be very excited to hear who I have waiting on the line with me. This man, he doesn't know me, but I admire him greatly and the work that he's done for the Christian community and Christian apologetics, in my opinion. Eric Metaxas, welcome to the Larry Elder Show.
Wait a minute. You're Carl Jackson.
How did you know?
You're Carl Jackson. Carl, when somebody says something as kind as you just said about me, you have no idea what that means. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Because, you know, we all do what we do, and you always hope that it's reaching some people. So seriously, thank you very much. That's just wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I mean, we're here to talk about your new book, Is Atheism Dead? But I got to tell you, one of the things that I do, and I mean this sincerely, one of the things that I like about you, that I adore about you, as a matter of fact, is I came into the Christian faith initially, I mean, through a bunch of circumstances. I had a crazy lifestyle. God radically changed my life. But one of the things that started turning me into a conservative was actually listening to ACLJ, law. I became a social conservative first, and then I started reading some political stuff. And because I was listening to law, if you will, I would read political stuff, and it was weird because I used to be a criminal, Eric, before God saved me and changed my life. And so it was just an amazing transformation. And then I started getting more interested in the intellectual side of things. And one thing I love about your books, whether it's Bonhoeffer, whether it's William Wilberforce, there's always, in my opinion, Christian apologetics in it. And it's always, listen, Christians can do great things in different areas of society. And right now, in the modern day Christian church, I just believe that we're so insular that we don't have the same impact, or we don't have the impact that we should. And obviously I'm going to go on to your book, but I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit. Was that your intention?
You're singing my song. Well, of course it is. And listen, all it is we're just trying to say, what does the Bible say? If the Bible says everybody should go into ministry, great. But it doesn't say that. God wants us to live out our faith everywhere we go, in every sphere, wherever you are. And we have participated, if you're a Christian, you've participated in your own marginalization. I'm going to stay in my little religious corner over here on Sundays, and the rest of the week I'm going to be in the secular world. That's insanity. That you might as well live in communist China. The fact is that we're in a free country where we have the ability to live out our faith. It's amazing that the Constitution talks about the free exercise of our faith. It doesn't say what you can believe intellectually. Nobody, even the devil doesn't care what you believe intellectually. He cares, do you believe it enough to act on it, to live it out? If you live it out, then you really believe it. And I think a lot of people, including Christians, we've marginalized ourselves. We've said, I'm just going to be like a private Christian. Well, if you're a slave in the bottom of a slave ship, you would hope that there'd be some Christians out there who would not be living a private faith, who would take their faith into politics and abolish slavery, for example. And if you're in a boxcar going to a death camp, you hope there'd be some Christians out there who'd be willing to fight for you, even though you're not a Christian. It's just a basic thing, and a lot of times Christians have been guilty of that. So yes, in a lot of my books, I think whether I intend to or not, that's just part of, what comes out. And I think that it's interesting because part of what the new book has done in my life, the one we're going to talk about today, is called Is Atheism Dead? It made me realize even more that the reality of God is everywhere. It is reality itself. It is truth. There's nowhere you can look where God isn't present. And I think a lot of times we say that, but we don't live like it's true. We live, again, like it's this private religious thing, but then there's the practical world. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of reality. And all the thesis of this book, one of the main theses of the books, is that science itself is now pointing to God. I mean, whoever thought we'd live to see that? It is happening. Most people don't know about it, which is why I said I've got to write this book, because people must know science is now dramatically pointing to God. You're not going to see it on the evening news. You know, you're not going to see it really anywhere, because it takes a certain ability to explain it and whatever. And so that's what I've tried to do in the book. But it's astonishing. It's big news. And, you know, that's just one of the things that I write about in the book. The main point, I should say this so people understand the idea. The title of the book is Atheism Dead? The reason it's titled that is because in 1966, there was a famous Time magazine cover article that said, "Is God Dead?" And the idea there was that science is disproving God, and, you know, sophisticated man is no longer needing religion. And so we're starting to drift into a world without God, and what's that going to look like? So the question is God dead? And the great irony, and it really is just crazy, that since that time, the evidence has been moving in the opposite direction. More and more evidence for God has come up, not just from science, but also from archaeology, from philosophy, and I can talk more about that. But what I find crazy is that because people bought into the secular narrative, the 1966 "Is God Dead" narrative, a lot of this information that has come out that shows God is real, it's kind of been ignored. The secular media, they kind of moved on. They kind of act like, these questions, we've answered these questions. So the evidence has been piling up and up and up and up and up, and nobody's even known that that's happening. It's kind of like, you know, you go to sleep and it starts snowing quietly all night long, and you wake up in the morning and there's these gigantic drifts. You can't even open the door.
So true.
You kind of think, how did that happen? What happened? And that's what I think has happened with the evidence for God. And again, the big news is nobody knows this. And I said, this is so crazy. I have got to get this into a book, to get this in the hands of people. They can read for themselves. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke. This is not some Christian gloss on reality. This is pure science, pure archaeology, you know, and there's other stuff in there. And I really think we're going to experience a paradigm shift. Something is going on. You can't have this much evidence from science and other things pointing in this direction and people ignore it forever. You can ignore it for a while. A lot of people don't want to hear it. But I'm telling you, once people read at least what I wrote, and, you know, my book is a popular level book, but I think it's going to blow some people's minds, and it's going to get a lot of people that are maybe agnostic to think very differently. They're going to start realizing, you know what, maybe I missed something.
Eric, you know, we have a minute before the break here. I think you're absolutely right. And one point I must concede, I have an archaeological study Bible at home, and I have several different types of Bibles, but that's one of them. And I'll flip through and I'll look at some of the discoveries, and I got to be honest with you, and I now feel convicted, to be honest. Sometimes I'm kind of underwhelmed because I know it's there, but I don't hear a big hoorah about it. Honestly, even amongst church people, it's kind of crazy. But also, I think your book is very timely because looking at the culture that we live in today, Eric, I really think there's going to be a revival in a sense. We're living in such crazy times. I feel like this book is so timely. We only have a few seconds before the break, so let me get your response on the other side.
I totally agree with you, and I'll respond on the other side.
Hey, can I talk to him during the break?
Judge Thomas, you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do.
I was under constant attack you're not really black because you're not doing what we expect black people to do. This is the wrong black guy. He has to be destroyed.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I have never seen in my life the orchestrated hatred to a group of Americans as I am seeing now. It's orchestrated hatred. You are allowed to hate the unvaccinated. Even if the unvaccinated had COVID already, and there is no scientific reason whatsoever for them to take as minimal a risk as it is the vaccine. You are to hate these people. They are killers. They are killing you and themselves. This is this piece of crap governor of California on television.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
Well, Wright came in this morning. He wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
57 Muslim states in the world, one Jewish state.
Jewish people returning to the hills of Judea.
There's hope here, if you know where to look for it.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
You can stop an earthquake. Doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
There's no doubt about it. America is in the middle of a culture war. The battle between left and right is real. One side believes in American greatness. The other wants to tear it down. The Salem Radio Network and the Salem Podcast Network is looking for a few warriors who are already fighting this war. This is your chance to nominate a person worthy of the honor of being Salem's Culture Warrior of 2021. Go to this show's website and click on the banner. Help us select Salem's Culture Warrior of the Year.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elders Show. I'm speaking with my guest, Eric Metaxas. You guys know him. He's nationally syndicated. He's author of his latest book, Is Atheism Dead? And I'm encouraging every one of you guys to go out and get that book. And again, of course, he's an author, nationally syndicated radio host for the Salem Network, and he has the acclaimed conversation series, Socrates in the City. Eric, the time of your book, in my opinion, could not be more timely given the times that we are living in. I don't think any one of us would have expected it to be this crazy right now.
I'm totally with you, and I didn't think of that when I was writing the book. But listen, before I forget, and you know this, the New York Times does not typically put books like this on the bestseller list if they can avoid it. We've had conversations with my friend Dinesh D'Souza, whatever. So you have to kind of overwhelm them. So I'm asking people, if possible, to pre-order the book, because that sounded just like a dog. To pre-order the book because the first week is crucial. So I'm just asking, I'm begging people, just go to my website, ericmetaxas.com. Some of the links, if you scroll down, are 45% off. But pre-ordering the book, you can get it at a very cheap price instead of $28. But the reason I'm saying this is because in my mind, it's not just about selling the book. It's like about a movement. To get this information out to the world, you want to get on a bestseller list. Why? Because then the secular media has to pay attention to it. And I'm convinced that when the secular media sees this, it's going to disturb a lot of people because they don't want to hear it. But the facts are the facts. And what you said about archaeology, this is true. This is true. People, not everybody expresses things in an interesting way. And so the archaeology part of the book, when I was writing it, I had a couple of like really big things that I wanted to write about that were exciting. But then the rest of the stuff was kind of boring. And as I dug into it, I discovered these stories about how these things were discovered. And I said, how come nobody writes about this? I mean, nobody ever writes about the juicy, weird story of how the Moabite stone was discovered. It's one of the craziest stories ever. But typically, I don't know, people just want to stick to the facts, and they say, this is the Moabite stone, and it's significant because this. And most people are like, yeah, who cares? Like, it's not really, you have to hear the story of how people fought over it and stuff. It's really insane. But there are a lot of very funny stories in the archaeology section. Now, you wouldn't think that, but I just kind of ferreted these out. There's one story where this really bratty 12-year-old, I mean, this is so funny I could die. It's 1979, and there's this archaeologist who he's too young to get, like, professionals to help him or to get university students. So he gets this bratty group of 12 and 13-year-olds from some archaeology club to help him, and they're more trouble than they're worth. And one of these kids named Nathan is so annoying that the archaeologist says, I got to get him out of my hair. I can't even handle him. So he sends him off to this like distant chamber to clean it because they were going to photograph everything. They didn't find anything. It was a big disappointment, but he says, at least we got to photograph it. So he sends this annoying kid, Nathan, to this distant chamber. Well, the kid is so annoying that not only is he sent to this distant chamber to get out of the hair of the archaeologist for a couple of hours, but the kid brings a hammer with him. And unknown to anybody, he starts smashing the floor of this chamber with a hammer. Like, this is like comedy, right?
Right.
He's supposed to be cleaning the thing, right? Why does he have a hammer? Why is he doing this? But, the miracle is this kid smashes a hole in the floor that everybody thought was a rock floor. There's nothing there. And he uncovers like an Aladdin's treasure trove of artifacts.
No way.
The bratty kid, right? I mean, and it goes on from there. But there's story after story like this that they have human interest. There are 3 stories of misbehaving boys that discovered 3 of the greatest archaeological finds in history. I said, am I making this up? Like, really? Really? Like, it's hilarious. There's a story of one of the reasons I wrote the book. I got to tell you, Carl, there's 2 reasons I wrote the book. I met a guy in Albuquerque who, there's a pastor there named Skip Heitzig, and I preached in his church. He said, you got to meet my friend, Stephen Collins. He's an archaeologist. He discovered biblical Sodom. And I said, what?
Wow.
Biblical Sodom? Sodom is 1700 B.C., I don't think anybody discovered it. Otherwise, I would have read about it. Like, this is one of those things, you hear these stories and whatever. Well, I looked into it. There is 0 doubt that this man discovered biblical Sodom. The details are astonishing. They're insane. And in every case, I find this amazing stuff, and then I go, the most amazing thing is nobody knows about it. How do Christians not know that one of the things that happened in the earliest pages of Genesis, right in the beginning of the beginning of the beginning, where we consider it, oh, it's kind of mythical. This archaeologist in 2006 or 7, I guess it was, discovered this place. The only reason he discovered it is because he's reading the Bible and saying, according to what the Bible says, if this place still exists, it's in this area. Everybody was looking in other areas and nobody found anything. They said, oh, it was probably so destroyed you can never find it. It's under the Dead Sea. He says, no. If it exists, we don't know, but if it exists, it would have to be here. So he finds a large, they call it a tell, like a cities upon cities upon cities. It creates this huge mound over thousands of years. He excavates at the level of 1700 BC. He finds a layer of ash, which is exactly the era of the supposed destruction, right? But it doesn't stop there. But above that, we
have about 90 seconds left, Eric, just so you're aware.
Well, there we go. Civilization ends at that point. There's not, for 700 years, whatever happened there was so horrifying that no one lived there for 7 centuries. Then he finds a piece of pottery that has a glaze on it. They take it to a lab. They say the only way this glaze could have happened is if it was subjected to insane temperatures, like 10,000 degrees for 25 seconds, whatever. The only thing that could do that is a cosmic airburst event, which is like a meteor, blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, it goes on and on and on. It was just written up in Nature, and I wrote an article in Newsweek to tell about the Nature article. But this is a discovery, one of the greatest discoveries of our time. Nobody knows about it. I said, I'm going to write my book just to tell that story. And then I kind of got carried away from there, and I just kept going. So
I tell you what, listen, I'm glad you did. We're speaking to Eric Metaxas, his new book, and I encourage everyone, please go out and get it. Go to ericmetaxas.com. Make sure you get him on that bestseller list. Order now, order early. Eric, I'm definitely going to get me a copy. I appreciate what you do for civilization, and I appreciate what you do for the Christian community. You are a godsend. God bless you. Thank you for joining us on the Larry Elder Show.
God bless you. Thank you, my friend. God bless you.
All right, take care. All right, that was Eric Metaxas. Go out, get the book. Is Atheism Dead? Man, I want to read it just based on those stories.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I have never seen in my life the orchestrated hatred to a group of Americans as I am seeing now. It's orchestrated hatred. You are allowed to hate the unvaccinated. Even if the unvaccinated had COVID already, and there is no scientific reason whatsoever for them to take as minimal a risk as it is the vaccine. You are to hate these people. They are killers. They are killing you and themselves. This is this piece of crap governor of California on television.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
If you're not vaccinated, you should be in one of those little ice huts out in the middle of a lake at Lake Winnetonka in the middle of Minnesota in the freezing cold. You should sit out there for all of the winter. Just sit in that little booth. That's how you should spend Christmas. I'm not kidding you. You know what this crap does? It's going to start making people hesitant about going forward at all. This is getting to a point where the opposite effect is occurring. I mean, Fauci is making this up as he goes. He says something stupid on Sunday. By Monday, he's trying to spin. He's backpedaling.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
The last 3 years of the Bush administration, I was the assistant U.S. trade rep for the Bush administration for public affairs, meaning I was just the spokesperson. And forever we would hear why we couldn't do things. We couldn't renegotiate NAFTA because, well, it was signed and sealed and we couldn't do this. And I get it, but that was the mentality.
Yes.
And frankly, that's the mentality that permeates government. And I get it. And so I was always like, okay, I get it. This is stupid, but we do have a signed deal. And you got a guy like Trump that comes in and you tell him, well, you know, there's this signed deal. And he says, so what? And
it was one of the most refreshing things about it.
And it was just, the thing that was so weird is if you think about it, why aren't more, because I don't think you should tear up everything for the sake of it.
No, but just ask the questions.
Right, ask the questions. Why do we just keep doing things the way that we always have? Why don't we challenge the system? Can it do better? Can we do better for the American people? Can we be more efficient and a better steward of their tax dollars? Can we deliver a better product? Do we still need to do what we're doing anymore? Yeah. Right? I mean, think about this. Trump's view was, you haven't modernized an agreement. When NAFTA was signed, there was no internet. So, we're dealing with problems that didn't exist then that, frankly, when you signed the deal, you couldn't have even thought of. So why not modernize it? On behalf of America, that's what we're supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, it all worked out. And if you are in the car industry, you're getting a better deal now as an American worker in that industry. If you're a dairy farmer, you're getting a better deal. If you work in the technology field, your IP is more protected. But it was a way of thinking that had never come in before, because previously you would have had some guy that would have been like, okay, here's 18 PowerPoints and, you know, this is the process. And Trump was like, no, that's not it. If it's not working, screw it.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in to the relieffactor.com studio is 888-971-7243. 888-971-7243. Listen, guys, just a reminder, the great Eldersky will be back on Monday. On Monday, he'll be back behind this microphone in this seat, helping to save the country, helping to save the United States of America, and hopefully keeping all of you Californians that are listening motivated to save your state. I don't believe that it's over. I believe that Gavin Newsom is overplaying his hand. People, even radical leftists, I believe, you grow up in America, you get a taste of freedom. Eventually, something's going to click where you say, this person has gone too far. This person has gone too far. In the third hour, I have an interview I'm looking forward to, a woman that by the name of Roxanne that led California school walkouts. And it's just fascinating. People are waking up. People are fighting back. So I look forward to that. We brought on a gentleman just the other day that's leading a fight right here in Orlando. And because he stood up and wrote an open letter and refused vaccine mandates at Disney, Disney is now backtracking. And then you have these police and firemen. They followed his lead. And now some of these institutions and the leaders of these institutions and the mayor is backtracking. So it's happening. People have to stand up. These people understand that they have to get reelected. And sometimes we just have to remind them who's in charge. And we, the people, are in charge. That is our system. It is a democratic republic. We all get to participate, but we elect people that we trust. We put them in office, and we trust them to keep us safe. We trust them to abide by the Constitution and to keep us free. And when they do not do that, we have to kick their butts out of office. But the important thing is, as voters, you have to always be mindful of freedom. You have to always be mindful of freedom. Quite frankly, I do believe that it's one of the advantages that I have as a black conservative. You can call me Uncle Tom Sellout whatever. There's no affirmative action plan in heaven. All I have to do is worry about Jesus. I don't have time to worry about you. But I do believe, as black conservatives, I compare us to runaway slaves, because I often say our thoughts are consumed with freedom. That's what happens oftentimes with black conservatives, is we find out and we get this piece of information, we get this piece of history, and we're like, what? The federal government or the Democrat Party did what to enslave us? What did they do? And then you just start looking for that. I also believe it's an advantage that people of faith have. Whether you're Christian, whether you're Jewish, Catholic, whatever it may be, I do believe that people of faith tend to, and honestly, let's be real, we've stunk during the pandemic. It's been very disappointing, Christian people, how we've reacted to this. It's insane. It's very disappointing. But nonetheless, typically, people of faith tend to pay more attention to freedom. Say what you will about the vaccines, and I said this the other day. The caller, Susan, called in from Ohio, and basically the issue with the mark of the beast, whether you believe it or not, a lot of Christians believe in that, and so they look out for things where they see men are going to try to usurp power over them. So it's beneficial. Religion is definitely beneficial. All right, I got to get to this story. By the way, the number to call into the ReliefFactor.com studio, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Did you guys hear about Pete Booty? I call him Pete Booty because his policies stink. Did you guys hear about Pete Booty? Did you hear what he's done? This guy, we are in the midst of a supply chain crisis. He's been on vacation. He's been chilling at home with his partner and with his 2 new babies for 3 months. Tell me where I can get a sweet deal like that. On the job for 7 months, and I'm chilling at home for 3 of those months. This is insane. I'm going to talk about that when we get back. And the Amish community, did they achieve herd immunity? We'll talk about it.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
About your time in the White House, what kind of a ride that was for you. We played this clip at the beginning, this insanity. Why didn't you mention this? You mean the thing I talked about 2 days ago at length from this point? But he didn't tweet about it. I mean, just the sheer insanity. Talk to us about what that was like to live through. And then give us your take on what went wrong in the Trump administration. What went right, what went wrong?
So, look, it was tumultuous. It was intense. I think that, look, this goes back to what we were just talking about. Trump upset the apple cart. And every president, both parties that come in, need 3 groups, right? You need the press, you need donors, and you need sort of the permanent K Street lobbyist types. Trump's view was, if you want to join me, great, but I don't need you. Yeah. And what happened was...
Because he won without them.
Yes. And they were... But here's the thing. I'll say it in a very PG way, but like they're used to having their butt kissed. And they're used to people saying, I'd love to have you come over to my house in Georgetown for a dinner party where we can discuss the ins and outs of the NATO, it's like they want you to, and he was like, look, I'm doing this. I'm doing it this way.
If you want to join me,
if you want to join me, great, but I don't need you. And it pissed them off.
Yeah. This, especially the conservatives, who thought that they were, the Bill Kristols of the world. So, what do you mean you're not coming to me for a briefing as a candidate?
How do you do this?
How dare you?
How dare you? I'm part of the institution.
Right.
I come
Kiss
with
the ring.
I come with the drapes.
Right.
And I think that was upset, and especially for the press corps. And that was their thing, is that they were like, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to act this way. You're supposed to... And again, my sort of marching orders from Trump were get my message out, do what I want.
So
keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
It's like a ripple throughout society. We've got Dr. Fauci
hectoring everybody who's had COVID who didn't get a vaccination, even though they have immunity. But I'm talking about not the people who refuse to be vaxxed, but the people who've had it and yet we have 2 million people scheduled to come across the border in the fiscal year, and he's absolutely silent about it.
That's right.
He can't even utter the word.
Well, it's like the silence of the unmasked demonstrators. The medical profession said that's fine because it's
all 1,200 of them. I remember that well.
That's right.
And it's so what we're doing is we're creating not just exemptions for illegal aliens, but we're elevating them in some sense. We're not asking them to follow the law. We're not asking
right.
them
So
to
I want to know the
vaccinated.
original sin here. Is the original sin Ted Kennedy? Is the original sin the inability of the World War II generation to pass on American values? What's the original sin?
I think it's two things. It was the affluence and the leisure created by the 6%, just enormous affluence that was created, 6% a year GDP in the 50s and 60s, and we created the most leisured and affluent society, and it created certain expectations about human nature that create a guy like Ted Kennedy and create his idea that we're so wealthy, we're so powerful, we're so liberal, we're so wonderful that we're going to extend this and feel so good about ourselves and start deliberately having a policy where we don't apply the old rules of assimilation, integration, or border enforcement.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
You know how long I've been waiting to hear Larry Elder say my name? That is, that is amazing. That is, it's surreal. I mean, this has been a dream come true. I don't want to get into waterworks tonight, so I'm going to keep pressing on. But this has just been an amazing experience, and just an amazing journey with amazing people. Thank you, Larry Elder. Thank you, Phil Boyce. Thank you, Dennis Prager. Thank you, Sean McConnell. Thank you, Forgotten Man. Thank you, Will Kirby. Thank you, Christian. Thank you. I mean, it's just been unreal. Just amazing people, an amazing team. People at Salem. It's been absolutely amazing. This has been a dream come true, and I look forward to more in the future. You can follow me on Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio, Twitter at Carl Jackson Show, Instagram, The Carl Jackson Show, and then you can check out my website, carljacksonshow.com. I will definitely make sure that I stay very busy on those outlets, and you can just follow me there, and I will let you know what I'm up to. All right. Let me talk to you about Job Creators Network, and then I want to get to you and talk to you about Pete Buttigieg. All right, so Job Creators Network, after a year plus of lockdowns and mandates that crippled America's economy, Washington, D.C. still hasn't gotten the message. Small business owners are hurting while their big global competitors thrive. What's Washington's response? More talk of mandates, government spending, and tax increases on small businesses. The same misguided policies of President Carter that led to soaring gas prices, record inflation, and job losses. Only one organization in America is fighting the war on small business being waged by President Biden and the Democrats. That's Job Creators Network. Job Creators Network is taking their message on the road. In October, the Bring Small Business Back bus tour may be coming to your town. Visit jcnbustour.com to see the tour schedule. Go to jcnbustour.com for more event info and future tour stops. Again, the number to call in, 888-971-7243. 888-971-7243. I'll get to your calls shortly and probably more frequently tonight. It's my last night, so what the heck? We will have a guest on the top of the third hour, so I'll look forward to that. But let's talk about Pete Buttigieg. You guys heard about this. Hat tip, Forgotten Man. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has been on paid leave for 3 months now. Did you guys know that? So we're in the midst of this supply chain crisis. People are worried. And listen, I told you guys, all right, it is October 15th. You guys heard it from Rebecca Walser when she came on this program. We said, go do your Christmas shopping by October 15th. Go out and get your Christmas shopping done. And don't tell anyone what you're doing. Just buy a little bit here, maybe a little bit there, but get it done because the supply chain shortage is going to get worse. It is not going to get better, at least not initially. We are going to feel the pain, and I'll explain some of the reasons why. So, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, otherwise known as Booty because his policies stink, has reportedly been on paid leave for months as the U.S. is facing this historic supply chain crisis that's causing pain for Americans like you and I. So, as we're going about our daily lives, we're sitting here figuring out how we're going to get through this, how we're going to survive this Biden administration. Pete Buttigieg is curling up with his partner at home. They adopted some twins, and he's been chilling. He's been chilling for 3 months. This is his first year. It's not even a year. It's not even a year. Homeboy hit I think it was a 6-month mark, and he decided to take paid leave for 3 months. The Transportation Secretary. Now, I don't know if he realizes that his job is actually an essential one. There's a lot of jobs that are not essential in the government. His happens to be one, but he's chilling at home. So U.S. ports face anchor-to-anchor traffic right now. Congress has nearly melted down over the Biden's infrastructure bill in the last several weeks. And then the Transportation Secretary is chilling. Politico reported, and they didn't previously announce it, but Buttigieg's office told West Wing Playbook that the secretary has actually been on paid leave since mid-August to spend time with his partner, Chaston, and their 2 newborn babies. A spokesperson for the department told Politico that Buttigieg was mostly offline for the first 4 weeks, except for major agency decisions and matters that could not be delegated. Boot
building. Edge. Boot
edge. Thank you, President Trump. I really appreciate that. He called in just to let me know that on the back line. Boot, edge. All right, so Buttigieg. All right, so anyway, this guy's chilling. So apparently he's been ramping up activities lately since we are in a crisis. And then he'll continue to take some time over the coming week to support his partner and take care of his new children. Let me ask you, would any of you get those 3 months paid leave after just 7 months on the job? And if you're in a traditional relationship, traditional marriage, Pete Buttigieg is gay, and I'm not making that an issue, but I am saying if you're in a traditional marriage, and your wife, maybe she gets paid leave, you know, are you chilling too? Or are you just trying to get home a little earlier for lunch, trying to make sure you come home a little earlier, you know, at the end of the day? Are you able to get 3 months off? This is insane, but this is emblematic of what the left thinks about you. You see, we're the peons. You got to remember that. We're the peons. They take our money. They chill. They tell us what jobs are essential and non-essential instead of we the people being in charge. And this guy who actually has an essential job says, whatever. We'll be back.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Arizona State University the other day. Well, now and they were apparently illegal immigrants by their own description. They're illegals, they're dreamers, please, Senator Sinema, my grandfather just died, my dad died a year ago, everybody's dying in their lives, and they can't go to the funeral. That seems to be the big complaint. I got an idea. You can go to Mexico. You can go to the funeral. Go pay respects to your loved ones instead of worrying about the free ride you're getting here in the United States. People are getting fed up with this kind of arrogance. And for the left to constantly demean this country as being such a horrible place, if we're such a horrible place, why does this country allow illegals to stalk and harass female senators without any consequences or any accountability whatsoever? Who are these people? I saw a report that they're being funded by Soros. Don't know if it's true or not. Might be. I saw that in the Washington Examiner. There's a report out that these illegal immigrants who are accosting Senator Kyrsten Sinema are actually part of an orchestrated effort. Seems pretty coincidental to me. Seems more than a coincidence that the illegal who confronted Sinema in the bathroom had a grandfather who died a couple of weeks ago, and then another illegal who accosted Senator Sinema on an airplane had a father who died, I think, last year. That seems to be a theme. Have you noticed?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
You know, Seb, the one thing that was fascinating that I always tell people is that for 3 years of the last 3 years of the Bush administration, I was the assistant U.S. trade rep for the Bush administration for public affairs, meaning I was just the spokesperson. And forever we would hear why we couldn't do things. We couldn't renegotiate NAFTA because, well, it was signed and sealed and we couldn't do that. And I get it, but that was the mentality. Yes. And frankly, that's the mentality that permeates government. And I get it. And so I was always like, okay, I get it. This is stupid, but we do have a signed deal. And you got a guy like Trump that comes in and you tell him it. Well, you know, there's this signed deal. And he says, so what? And
it was one of the most refreshing things about it.
And it was just, the thing that was so weird is if you think about it, why aren't more, because I don't think you should tear up everything for the sake of it.
No, but just ask the questions.
Right, ask the questions.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Hey, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call into the ReliefFactor.com studio, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. How about, my wife texts this in. She's on the roll. She's on fire. All right, so how about they just let us, since Pete Buttigieg is not working, how about we just stop paying some of these people in government? We don't get that luxury, do we? What other job in America could afford to allow somebody to stay home for 3 months, except a bloated federal government? These politicians in D.C. and statewide and local municipalities locked us down, forced us to stay home, destroyed our businesses, and this fool gets to chill at home for 3 months while we're in a supply chain crisis. We can't go to the grocery store. The shelves are getting empty. I can't even find stuff here locally that I used to find. Used to be an easy find anymore. This guy, I'm just chilling. You know, I got servants. All these people around Washington, D.C., they're doing fine. This is insane where we are. This guy's a total... I'm glad. Honestly, I'm glad we're seeing who Pete Buttigieg is because we knew he wanted to run for president. Now everyone gets to see how incompetent he is. This is a perfect example of why you do not pick people based upon sexual orientation. You pick them based upon merit and competency. I'll take a call before the break. Let's go to Mike in Alberta, California. Mike, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic, and Art, I see you out there.
Yeah,
Mike,
well, hey, Carl Jackson, you're the best. You're wonderful. You're amazing.
Thank you. I
Big time
appreciate
good.
it.
Yeah, I'm a 30-year K-12 educator out here in California, which now, by the way, is student test score is 48 in the nation. We're right at the bottom. So I just want you to know that I have, as I changed over from being a Democrat, I discovered that there's this thing, and Pete Buttigieg fits it perfectly, this big unit called the Racist White Liberal Cabal.
Okay.
And it runs Facebook all the way through Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, Savannah, Minneapolis, Memphis, Baltimore, Portland, Seattle.
We got 30 seconds, Mike. 30 seconds before we go to break.
Anyway, I just wanted you to know about this horrible thing. These people don't care how many blacks get to lay dead on their streets. And I just want you to know that you're the best. You're ringing the bells of heroics and our founding fathers and the creation of the American Republic.
Thank you, Mike. I wish I wish you would have called me in sooner, honestly, or later. I wanted to.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I have never seen in my life the orchestrated hatred to a group of Americans as I am seeing now. It's orchestrated hatred. You are allowed to hate the unvaccinated. Even if the unvaccinated had COVID already, and there is no scientific reason whatsoever for them to take as minimal a risk as it is the vaccine. You are to hate these people. They are killers. They are killing you and themselves. This is this piece of crap governor of California on television.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Americans still have enough fighting spirit. We're not Canada, we're not Sweden, we're not Germany. And
I would say that even under lawful elections where it was close but you lost, the incoming administration would say, we don't really have a mandate. Normally people would say, I've got to deal with this closely divided group. I can't do great, big, dramatic things. This group has come in and said, we are going to go as hard to the left, as hard to progressivism, as hard to socialism, as hard to communism as we can, as fast as we can. We are going to go as hard to the godless view of everything as fast as we can. We are going to empower our enemies and insult our friends. We are going to undo everything the previous administration did, not because it's necessarily good for the country, but simply for the fact that the previous administration did it. And where that really came back to bite us in the backside, and I think that where you really start to see the let's go Brandon phenomenon is following Afghanistan. Because when the previous administration had left an exit plan saying, if you follow these guidelines, make it conditions-based, we can get everybody out safely, we can get all of our allies out before we take the military out, we can get rid of our equipment, we can do all this stuff. And because Joe Biden said, I'm not doing any of it, and the only reason he said it was because the previous guy did it, and we got 13 Marines killed, and we lost a lot of Americans in the process that are still behind enemy lines even to this day. That's when America woke up and said, wait a minute, this isn't right. And you're starting to see, I think, a groundswell that is going to roll all the way through the 2022 election cycle.
Keep up with what's trending. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I also have a view that the withdrawal of those forces would lead inevitably to the collapse of the Afghan military forces and eventually the Afghan government.
Well, you were right. And it took 11 days for the Taliban to take over Afghanistan. Have you seen some of the images coming out of Afghanistan, by the way? They're real pleasant. Bodies being hung from overpasses, people being executed in the street, an Afghan soldier led out into the street and just shot dead. The Taliban walking around with these giant whips and they're hitting women over the backs. Here's Secretary Austin also contradicting Biden and exposing Joe Biden for the bald-faced lie, the bald-faced lie he told the American people.
It's a simple question, Secretary Austin. He said no senior military leader advised him to leave a small troop presence behind. Is that true or not? Did these officer and General Miller's recommendations get to the president personally?
Their input was received by the president and considered by the president for sure. In terms of what they specifically recommended, Senator, as they just said, they're not going to provide what they recommended in confidence.
What a crap storm. What a crap show. Senator Josh Hawley put it best. Thank goodness for people like Josh Hawley and Marsha Blackburn and Dan Sullivan. The Republicans were certainly on fire yesterday in holding these failed commanders to have some sort of, at least a public accountability.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at Rumble.
Judge Thomas, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
I was under constant attack. You're not really black because you're not doing what we expect black people to do. This is the wrong black guy. He has to be destroyed.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
There's no doubt about it. America is in the middle of a culture war. The battle between left and right is real. One side believes in American greatness. The other wants to tear it down. The Salem Radio Network and the Salem Podcast Network is looking for a few warriors who are already fighting this war. This is your chance to nominate a person worthy of the honor of being Salem's Culture Warrior of 2021. Go to this show's website and click on the banner. Help us select Salem's Culture Warrior of the Year.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in to the ReliefFactor.com studio, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Let me tell you real quickly why this issue with Pete Buttigieg is a big issue, or one of the reasons, and why it's going to continue to impact you and I. Boot, edge, edge. All right. Sorry, President Trump. I got to get that right. Boot, edge, edge. So Buttigieg. Let me tell you why it's going to get worse before it gets better. Because the supply chain disruptions are just too far spread. They're showing up everywhere already. And consider this. And I don't mean to be... I'm not trying to get you scared. I'm just trying to shoot straight with you. You guys listen to this show, and I just want to be honest with you. And I want you to be amongst the people that are prepared for what's coming so we can kick the Democrats' booty in 2022 and hopefully start getting our country back on track. But there's just the disruptions at this point are too far spread. I still don't think there's enough hands to be able to handle all of the cargo. It's just too far backed up at this point in time. And then even if that, let's say hypothetically, they were able to unload all of the cargo containers, there's so much pent up demand. And we have to go back to the borders, people. We've got more demand in the country of people that are going to need material because we still have a huge border crisis. People flooding in across the border. And so now you have these additional people. You have mobility restrictions still in blue states, unfortunately, or blue cities in some cases. You got these unavailable, or, some people can't travel, whatever. What do they call it? The vaccine passports. All of this stuff, people staying where they are, illegal immigration, mobility restrictions. When these areas do get supplies in, there's going to be an overwhelming amount of people rushing to get their stuff. You guys remember the toilet paper crisis. Now, I got to tell you, that was scary. That was really scary. I don't ever want to be in a toilet paper crisis again. But imagine that tenfold. Imagine that with other necessities. It could be coming to a town near you. God forbid it does, but it could be coming to a town near you. Have the Amish reached herd immunity? I want to talk about that. Before I do, I'll take a couple of calls here, and then I want to replay for you. The CNN is going crazy. CNN is going crazy. Joe Rogan called them out the other day. Now they're sitting there trying to lie and say, no, we never called ivermectin a horse dewormer. So we'll play a couple audio clips for you because they sure as heck did. And quite frankly, in my opinion, they're complicit in the deaths. And I don't say this lightly. I don't say it just because I want to say something that's shocking on air. I sincerely believe it. I believe Facebook. I believe a lot of these big tech companies. I believe CNN, MSNBC. A lot of these people are complicit in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans. I really do. For not getting the word out on therapeutics. For trying to stymie that information. Honestly, I try not to just use the word evil flippantly. That's evil. In my opinion, that's evil. When you're so busy, you just want your side to win. You never have a gut check moment that says, wait a minute. If this stuff is true, if saving a person's life is as simple as buying an inexpensive pill, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, wouldn't I, as a reporter, as a journalist, wouldn't I want people to have that information? We're in a sad state of affairs. Let's take a call. Let's go to Art in Oregon. Art, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Carl, my brother from another mother, I love you, man. You have done such a splendid job.
Thank you.
you truly live your faith, and that's what the Democrats don't do. They want to take, and Buttigieg, he's a typical Democrat. He's going to take everything away from us, the taxpayers, and so I'm not surprised he's doing what he's doing. And this is what the Democrats want to do with our country. They want to destroy it. But anyways, I got to tell you a little thing that you remind me of, Carl. Okay, you live the faith, man, and God bless you. I'm going to sign up for your newsletter, and I love Larry, but now I have a new guy that I love to listen to too. But you remind me, Carl, of when Jesus went into the temple and everybody was defiling the temple, taking in money and all that stuff, and Jesus just went crazy and started flipping over the tables. But that's the passion you bring to the table, Carl, because you tell it like it is. You call the Democrats out, but you also call the Republicans out when they're doing wrong, man. And that's why God has blessed you. You're going to go a long way, my friend. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And let me tell you, Carl, it's been a fantastic ride while you've been here taking over Larry's spot. He's coming back, but let me tell you, my brother, you have increased your fan base 20-fold because of who you are, what you are, and what you bring to the table, man. So God bless you.
Thank you.
Good luck. I'm going to be giving you I'm going to be signing up for your newsletter and sending you my email address. And man, if you ever come to Oregon, let me know, because I want to take you out to dinner and shake your hand, because you are the man, just like Larry's the man, and all the other talk radio hosts that fight what's wrong with America.
All right, listen, thank you,
my friend.
You do the same. I appreciate you being out there. Really do appreciate the kind words. Let's take another call. Got about a minute and a half. Mike in Tallahassee. Mike, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic. Mike, you've got the mic.
Carl. All right. Carl, just fabulous job. I've really enjoyed your show. I have a long commute every day, and I so look forward to getting to 6 o'clock Eastern time and listening to the Carl Jackson show.
Thank you, Mike.
Just the only down thing about all this is, how can I continue to listen to you and hear your words?
All right, so I am on locally, theanswerorlando.com, theanswerorlando.com. Also, just check me out on Facebook. I'll make announcements on Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio. So wherever I can be found, I'll make sure that I post it as quickly as possible. And I will fill in for Larry Elder in the future. I will fill in for Dennis Prager as well. You'll still hear from me. Promise you that. Mike, I appreciate you being out there.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
God bless you, Carl. God bless you. Thank you for the work you've done.
Thank you. God bless you, Mike. I appreciate that. All right, guys. All right. So listen, the Amish, communities became the first to achieve COVID herd immunity without a higher death rate, without shutdowns, without masks, or without even vaccines. How did they do it? I think we know, but I'm going to get into it a little bit after the break. And two-parent families are now racist. Two-parent family homes are now racist. We'll talk about that as well. Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back.
Stay tuned for more with guest host Carl Jackson on The Larry Elder Show.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Arizona State University the other day. Well, now and they were apparently illegal immigrants by their own description. They're illegals. They're dreamers. Please, Senator Sinema, my grandfather just died. My dad died a year ago. Everybody's dying in their lives, and they can't go to the funeral. That seems to be the big complaint. I got an idea. You can go to Mexico. You can go to the funeral. Go pay respects to your loved ones instead of worrying about the free ride you're getting here in the United States. People are getting fed up with this kind of arrogance. And for the left to constantly demean this country as being such a horrible place, if we're such a horrible place, why does this country allow illegals to stalk and harass female senators without any consequences or any accountability whatsoever? Who are these people? I saw a report that they're being funded by Soros. Don't know if it's true or not. Might be. I saw that in the Washington Examiner. There's a report out that these illegal immigrants who are accosting Senator Kyrsten Sinema are actually part of an orchestrated effort. Seems pretty coincidental to me. Seems more than a coincidence that the illegal who confronted Sinema in the bathroom had a grandfather who died a couple of weeks ago, and then another illegal who accosted Senator Sinema on an airplane had a father who died, I think, last year. That seems to be a theme. Have you noticed?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
How 1 million children were placed with local foster families. Parents from all walks of life share their stories of overcoming the one-child policy by taking in orphans.
Go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
You can stop an earthquake. Doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
57 Muslim states in the world, 1 Jewish state.
Jewish people returning to the hills of Judea.
There's hope here, if you know where to look for it.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Judge Thomas, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. I was under constant attack. You're not really black because you're not doing what we expect black people to do. This is the wrong black guy. He has to be destroyed.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
There's no doubt about it. America is in the middle of a culture war. The battle between left and right is real. One side believes in American greatness. The other wants to tear it down. The Salem Radio Network and the Salem Podcast Network is looking for a few warriors who are already fighting this war. This is your chance to nominate a person worthy of the honor of being Salem's Culture Warrior of 2021. Go to this show's website and click on the banner. Help us select Salem's Culture Warrior of the Year.
Back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in to the relieffactor.com studio, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Are the Amish the first to achieve herd immunity? Before we get into that, I want to remind you of an audio clip by Joe Rogan that I think absolutely devastated CNN, and already they're trying to cover their tracks. Actually, I want to play this one first. I want to play you one of CNN just straight up lying, saying that now they're trying to say that the media is lying about Joe Rogan, or the media lies about Joe Rogan, I'm sorry, for claiming that they made up the lie about the horse pills. I'll play that for you. Then I want to play how Joe Rogan grilled Sanjay Gupta. I'll go into the Amish, and I'll take more of your calls. I see all of you guys out there, and I promise you I'm going to take as many as I possibly can tonight. Audio clip number 1, por favor.
It blows my mind that Joe Rogan just yesterday admitted to taking ivermectin.
Ivermectin is something more often used to deworm horses.
CNN is saying I'm taking horse dewormer.
Rogan telling his 13 million Instagram followers that he was treated with several drugs, and he included ivermectin on the list, a drug used for livestock.
Rogan said the word ivermectin. Yes, that's the deworming medicine made to kill parasites in farm animals.
Why would they lie and say that's horse dewormer?
So things are clearly bad, but they're being made even worse by people who have refused to take the vaccine and instead are swallowing horse paste.
Wait a second. He said that he got better because he ate cattle dewormer.
They must know that that's a lie.
You have individuals like Joe Rogan, for example, who don't want to take an experimental vaccine but will take horse dewormer.
Well. If it isn't old horseworm Rogan.
Ivermectin is often used to deworm livestock.
Ivermectin, apparently given to deworm animals.
It's a lie on a news network, and it's a lie that's that's a lie that they're conscious of. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
They're unfavorably framing it as veterinary medicine.
Joe Rogan, he came down with COVID. He says he's been taking the livestock dewormer ivermectin.
They lied and said I was taking horse dewormer.
Ivermectin is a drug that is commonly used as a horse dewormer.
They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor.
You know what doctors say? Doctors say you could take it for humans. Yeah, but not for coronavirus.
He may not have gotten it from the feed supply store, but it's the same compound.
When you have a horse deworming medication that's discouraged by the government, that actually causes some people in this crazed environment we're in to actually want to try it. That's the upside down world we're in with figures like Joe Rogan.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN?
He also acknowledged taking a controversial treatment designed for animals.
Does it bother you that the news network you work for out and out lied, just outright lied about me taking horse dewormer?
They shouldn't have said that.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
All right, so you heard that media montage. All the times they're trying to say now that they never called ivermectin a horse dewormer, and of course you heard the audio clip proving otherwise. Now I want to take you back to just the other day when Joe Rogan confronted Sanjay Gupta and made him feel completely uncomfortable. And honestly, this is what we have to do. Leftists are not used to pushback. Far too many of them exist in bubbles. So when they have to answer the tough questions, it's like, So anyway, that's exactly what happens. Here's audio clip what number is that? Number 3.
Why would I take a chance in getting vaccinated on top of that?
By the way, I'm glad you're better. I'm glad it only lasted a day.
You're probably the only one at CNN that's glad.
No. We're not.
The rest of them are all lying about me taking horse medication. And we should talk about that.
That bothered you.
It should bother you, too. They're lying at your network about people taking human drugs versus drugs for veterinary.
Calling it a horse dewormer is not a flattering thing. I get that.
It's a lie. It's a lie on a news network. And it's a lie that's a willing... That's a lie that they're conscious of. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
They're unfavorably framing it as veterinary medicine.
Well, the FDA put this thing out. You saw that. Did you see that thing that the FDA put out?
What did the FDA put out?
It was a tweet, and it was snarky. I admit it. They said, you are not a horse, you are not a cow, stop taking this stuff, or something like that.
Why would you say that when you're talking about a drug that's been given out to billions and billions of people, a drug that was responsible for one of the inventors of it making the Nobel Prize in 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, a drug that has been shown to stop viral replication in vitro. You know that, right? Why would they lie and say that's horse dewormer? I can afford people medicine, mother. This is ridiculous. It's just a lie.
I don't think anyone is...
But don't you think that a lie like that is dangerous on a news network when you know that they know they're lying? You know that they know that I took medicine. Like, here it is. This is ivermectin.
You got
it
with
right
you.
Here. Somebody gave it to me.
All right, hang on. The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like I feel like I'm missing.
Do you think that's a problem? That your news network lies?
Well, I don't.
Dude,
what did they say?
They lied and said I was taking horse dewormer. First of all, it was prescribed to me by a doctor.
Yeah.
Along
they
with
shouldn't have said it was
bunch of other medications.
If you got a human
pill, because there were people that were taking it, the veterinary medication, and you're not, obviously. You got it from a doctor, so that it shouldn't be called that. Ivermectin can be a very effective medication.
Dude. All right. So that was the heated exchange, and I'm glad that Joe Rogan did it. I think it's extremely important, and we'll go on to the issue of whether or not the Amish communities have become immune, or if they've achieved herd immunity. You know what? But first, I got to tell you about the Salem culture warrior. All right, so this show wants to honor those in American life who are standing up for what we all believe in. We know there is a culture war going on all around us, but some people rise up and become culture warriors. You can nominate one of those people as the 2021 Salem Culture Warrior of the Year. Just go to LarryElder.com and click on the Culture Warrior banner to nominate somebody today. Let's give praise and encouragement to these culture warriors. Personally, I do believe that it should be Larry Elder for getting in the ring. Since we only have a minute and a half left before the break, let me go ahead and take another call before I get into this story about the Amish. Let's go to Ed in Upland, California. Ed, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good.
What's going on is really a planetary crucifixion, if you will. Corona, the meaning of corona is a crown. And they're putting a crown of thorns with all these issues over the earth right now. For when God kicked Satan out of heaven and they fell to the earth and all this sort of stuff, now we see all their minions rising up because it's a spiritual battle. They want to take as many souls with the corona to hell right now. It's just crazy. It's upside down. It's insane, and all those kinds of things, right?
Ed,
So,
listen. Go ahead.
sir.
Go ahead. We got 10 seconds. Go ahead, Ed.
Okay, he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth because there is no truth in him. So all these minions of Satan are liars and they're murderers.
Ed, I thank you for the call. I thank you for the call. This is Carl Jackson sitting in for Larry Elder. We'll be back on the other side.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I have never seen in my life the orchestrated hatred to a group of Americans as I am seeing now. It's orchestrated hatred. You are allowed to hate the unvaccinated. Even if the unvaccinated had COVID already, and there is no scientific reason whatsoever for them to take as minimal a risk as it is the vaccine. You are to hate these people. They are killers. They are killing you and themselves. This is this piece of crap governor of California on television.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
If you're not vaccinated, you should be in one of those little ice huts out in the middle of a lake at Lake Winnetonka in the middle of Minnesota in the freezing cold. You should sit out there for all of the winter. Just sit in that little booth. That's how you should spend Christmas. I'm not kidding you. You know what this crap does? It's going to start making people hesitant about going forward at all. This is getting to a point where the opposite effect is occurring. I mean, Fauci is making this up as he goes. He says something stupid on Sunday. By Monday, he's trying to spin. He's backpedaling.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
The last 3 years of the Bush administration, I was the assistant U.S. trade rep for the Bush administration for public affairs, meaning I was just the spokesperson. And forever, we would hear why we couldn't do things. We couldn't renegotiate NAFTA because, well, it was signed and sealed, and we couldn't do that. And I get it, but that was the mentality.
Yes.
And frankly, that's the mentality that permeates government. And I get it. And so I was always like, okay, I get it. This is stupid, but we do have a signed deal. And you got a guy like Trump that comes in, and you tell him, well, there's this signed deal, and he says, so what? And
it was one of the most refreshing things about it.
And it was just, the thing that was so weird is, if you think about it, why aren't more, because I don't think you should tear up everything for the sake of it.
No, but just ask the questions.
Right, ask the questions. Why do we just keep doing things the way that we always have? Why don't we challenge the system? Can it do better? Can we do better for the American people? Can we be more efficient and a better steward of their tax dollars? Can we deliver a better product? Do we still need to do what we're doing anymore? Right? I mean, think about this. Trump's view was, you haven't modernized an agreement. When NAFTA was signed, there was no internet. So we're dealing with problems that didn't exist then, that frankly, when you signed the deal, you couldn't have even thought of. So why not modernize it? On behalf of America, that's what we're supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, it all worked out. And if you are in the car industry, you're getting a better deal now as an American worker in that industry. If you're a dairy farmer, you're getting a better deal. If you work in the technology field, your IP is more protected. But it was a way of thinking that had never come in before, because previously you would have had some guy that would have been like, okay, here's 18 PowerPoints and, this is the process. And Trump was like, no, that's not it. If it's not working, screw it.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in to the relieffactor.com studio, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Renee, I'll be coming to you next when we go back to the lines. All right, so the Amish communities became the first to achieve COVID herd immunity without higher death rates, shutdowns, massive vaccines. How did they do it? Well, Full Measure host Cheryl Atkinson traveled to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to see how Amish communities handled COVID-19 without electricity or without television. So Atkinson reported that there's no evidence of any more deaths among the Amish than in places that shut down tight. And some claim there were even fewer death and sickness within the Amish community. They were without masks. They stayed at home. There were no vaccines, and nonetheless they seemed to fare better. Here's a quote from one of the Amish, an Amish man that she interviewed. She said, he said, we're glad all the English people got their COVID vaccines. That's great. Because now we don't have to wear a mask. We can do what we want. So good for you. Thank you. We appreciate it. Us? No, we're not getting vaccines. Of course not. We all got the COVID. So why would you get a vaccine? There lies common sense. I don't know what he's saying. Actually, we do, right? He's talking about herd immunity. He's talking about natural immunity. He says, when it comes to actions taken across the COVID-19 threat, hindsight, or this is what Atkinson says, hindsight is still very much underway. For your consideration, a story and outcome you probably aren't hearing much about anywhere else is what's happening in the Amish community. So Lancaster, Pennsylvania, is the home, or Lancaster County, I should say, is the home of thousands of families that led lives largely separate from modern America. We've seen them. I've seen them in some places that I'm traveled. I'm sure many of you have as well. And for those of you that may not be familiar with them, the Amish are a Christian group. They emphasize the virtuous over the superficial. So they don't usually drive. They don't usually use electricity. They don't have TVs. And during the COVID outbreak, they basically became the subjects of a massive social and a medical experiment. Because people were asking, okay, what is the Amish community going to do with this? So Cheryl Atkinson says that it's safe to say there was a whole different approach right here in their community. Here's another person that she interviewed, Calvin Lapp. He's an Amish Mennonite, and he said there's 3 things that the Amish don't like. And those 3 things are the government. They won't get involved with the government. They don't like the public education system. And so I agree with them on that one. And they also don't like the healthcare system. And he said they don't like it because they rip us off. And this is how the Amish conquered it. Basically, after a short shutdown last year, the Amish chose a unique path that led to the COVID-19 tearing through their community. And this was their version, if you will, of Operation Warp Speed. And basically, it began with a religious holiday that they had in May of last year. And here's what they did. When they took communion, when they take communion, they dump their wine into a cup and they take turns drinking out of the same cup. So you go the whole way down the line and everybody drinks out of that cup. And if one person has COVID, the rest of the church is going to get COVID. So the first time they went back to church, every one of them got sick. And then Left says they weren't denying coronavirus. They decided that they were going to face it head on. Now, some of you may say, Carl, this is absolutely cray-cray, but the bottom line is this is freedom. This is freedom. Whether you think it's crazy or not, that isn't the point. The point of the matter is this the United States of America or not? Are we a free people or not? Are we a people that get to make choices or not? And sometimes people may make smart decisions. Sometimes people may make dumb decisions. But the bottom line is we're free to make those decisions, or we're supposed to be if we live in the United States of America, as long as it's not criminal activity. The gentleman went on to say, for us, it's a worse thing to quit working than dying. To them, working is more important, they say, than dying. But to shut down and say that we can't go to church, we can't be around our family. Man, this is we can't be around our old people in the hospital, and we got to quit working. It's going completely against everything we believe in. So he says you're changing our culture completely to try to act like they wanted us to act like last year. And he said, listen, we're not going to do it. What do you know? By March of last year or May of last year, they had reached herd immunity. I couldn't get that out.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I have never seen in my life the orchestrated hatred to a group of Americans as I am seeing now. It's orchestrated hatred. You are allowed to hate the unvaccinated, even if the unvaccinated had COVID already, and there is no scientific reason whatsoever for them to take as minimal a risk as it is the vaccine. You are to hate these people. They are killers. They are killing you and themselves. This is this piece of crap governor of California on television.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
So Joe Biden thinks that an illegal chasing a U.S. senator into a ladies' room is part of the process and happens to everybody. Wow. I'm guessing nobody's able to chase Joe Biden into the men's room. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it's not part of any process he has to face. It's unbelievable the way the machine, the beast, looks the other way when something as reprehensible as illegals harassing United States senators gets a pass. I saw a great tweet, David Harsanyi, who we've interviewed on this show before. Our country is so free that illegal immigrants can yell at senators in public without worrying about any repercussions. That's how free we are as a country. To all the lunatics on the left who tell you how oppressive we are as a nation, how racist this country is, how miserable the United States of America is, we're so free that we let illegals harass, maybe criminally, U.S. senators, and we don't do anything about it. Tell me why these illegals harassing senators shouldn't be deported. Give me a good argument against that.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Judge Thomas, you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I did. I was under constant attack. You're not really black because you're not doing what we expect black people to do. This is the wrong black guy. He has to be destroyed.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
There's no doubt about it. America is in the middle of a culture war. The battle between left and right is real. One side believes in American greatness. The other wants to tear it down. The Salem Radio Network and the Salem Podcast Network is looking for a few warriors who are already fighting this war. This is your chance to nominate a person worthy of the honor of being Salem's Culture Warrior of 2021. Go to this show's website and click on the banner. Help us select Salem's Culture Warrior of the Year.
All right, I'm going to take a call real quick, and then I want to get into, I'm not sure if you guys heard about this, but did you know that now two-parent families are racist too? Did you guys know that? So, parents, if you're out there listening and you happen to be in a traditional marriage, two-parent household, you're officially racist. You're officially racist. If you happen to be black in a two-parent family household, I guess you're racist too, and you're a sellout. We'll get into that. We have gone absolutely bat crazy in the United States of America, but that's okay. We're going to keep fighting back. All right, let's go to Renee in Victorville, California. Renee, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Hey, thank you, Carl. I just want to say thank you, man. When you filled in for Larry, it was godsend. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
The passion you brought in to everything you talk about is by far, not to knock on Larry or Dennis Prager, but it's by far on top of them. Your passion is just out there on every single issue you bring out, man. So thank you. Thanks a lot. I'm going to miss you. I will say that. And I think from everyone out here in the Inland Empire, I think we're all going to miss you, man. So God bless you, and you take care, and
God bless you, Renee.
I'm going to miss you.
God bless you, Renee. Thank you so much, man. Trust me, I will miss you. I will miss being on behind these airwaves. You guys will be in great hands with the great Eldersky, and in some way, somehow, you'll hear of me. So listen, I'm gonna keep fighting the fight until my dream to become a nationally syndicated host comes true. But follow me on Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio, Twitter at Carl Jackson Show. You can check out our local station, theanswerorlando.com, and figure out what's going to be next for me, as I figure it out myself, to be quite frank with you. All right, so anyway, now two-parent families are racist too. I want you guys to remember this, and you'll hear the great Eldersky. You've heard it said plenty of times before by Larry Elder himself. You can go on to places like the Heritage Foundation. You can read it at the Brookings Institute. But all of these experts and at these think tanks agree with this. Typically, if you graduate high school you get a job, get married, and then have kids, typically you'll be a success. You'll rise to the middle class, regardless. I mean, there's no stopping you. If you've done those things in that order, you have some common sense. You're trying to do things the right way. So now, had to forget, man, this from the Federalist. Now, two-parent families are racist too. Despite its name, the National Council of Family Relations is looking to destroy American families. And this is what I hate. The left always does this. And honestly, I got to be honest, we got to get a little better with this as well. But they're called the National Council of Family Relations. It's almost like saying Planned Parenthood when you want to when you want to abort children. It's insane, but they're great with language. You got to give it to them. So they claim that the nuclear family, consisting of father, mother, and children, they're merely an extension of white supremacy. So the nuclear family is merely an extension of white supremacy. So the National Council of Family Relations has joined with critical race theorists and Uncle BLM in this outright attack on the foundational values and norms of not just American culture, but of every culture, of every society. This is so insane where we're going. I don't even understand how people buy into this stupidity, but people do. And I think a lot of it has to do with guilt, to be quite frank with you. I believe that's where we are oftentimes in society. So let me ask these people at the National Council of Family Relations. So I'd like to know, since Adam and Eve were born in Africa or created there, and Cain and Abel were born in Africa, they were a family unit. Are they white supremacists? See, I don't even believe these people believe this nonsense. I don't believe they practice this nonsense. I don't believe that left-wingers exist behind closed doors because they do not practice what they preach because they know better. It's much like when Michaela Getz was on here and she talked about these luxury beliefs. These people don't practice what they preach. They have the ability because they're isolated in their little cocoons. So they have the ability to sit there and say, I wonder if this will work, because they all just want to sound smart amongst each other, right? I wonder what this will work. And they adopt these beliefs because there's no consequences. And there's no consequences to it for them, but for people, middle class, poor families, there's absolute consequences. Let me tell you, one of the greatest. How do I frame this? Okay, so having a daughter, having gone through a custody battle, is a very hard and painful thing. Very hard and painful thing, because you put your child through this situation where there's divided loyalties, but you continue to fight because you believe that you're going to provide the child the best lifestyle possible. And that's what I believed. And when I say lifestyle, I don't mean monetary, because I was broke as a joke. I meant values and eventually, education and so on, etc. That was my goal. But this stuff to destroy families is crazy. I got to see it in that custody battle. I to this day, I don't think my daughter would mind it, but there's issues that she would struggle with as a result of me and my ex going through that custody battle. And I'm telling you, the pain and suffering that it causes is insane. And I really believe people come out with stupid stuff like this because they don't want to take responsibility for their actions. They don't want to take responsibility for going out there and sleeping around, or they don't want to take responsibility and step up and be a man, step up and be a good father, step up and get with the mate of your child. They just don't want to step up. So they come up with lofty ideas like this. Let me talk to you about Pure Talk USA. The best kept secret is out. Like me, hundreds of thousands of people have said goodbye to their overpriced Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile plans and switched to Pure Talk. That's because you get the same great coverage on the same great 5G network as one of the big guys, but for about half the cost. The average family is saving over $800 a year, so what are you waiting for? You can keep your number and keep your phone, or get huge discounts on the latest iPhones and Androids. Get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. Or if you want unlimited data, you can still save a fortune. Listen, I'm a Pure Talk customer. I believe in the way they treat their customers. Plus, they have a 30-day risk-free guarantee, so you literally have nothing to lose. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Larry Elder, and you'll save 50% off your first month. Pound 250, say Larry Elder. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless. Don't.
How 1 million children were placed with local foster families. Parents from all walks of life share their stories of overcoming the one-child policy by taking in orphans.
Go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
You can stop an earthquake. Doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
There's no doubt about it. America is in the middle of a culture war. The battle between left and right is real. One side believes in American greatness. The other wants to tear it down. The Salem Radio Network and the Salem Podcast Network is looking for a few warriors who are already fighting this war. This is your chance to nominate a person worthy of the honor of being Salem's Culture Warrior of 2021. Go to this show's website and click on the banner. Help us select Salem's Culture Warrior of the Year.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
All right, so welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. And Diane in Houston, Texas, I see you out there, and you will be up next. Listen, so this idea that two-parent families are racist is just completely crazy. It's completely asinine. And this is what the left wants you to believe, but don't buy into it. Buy into common sense. Buy into objective truth. Quite frankly, let's just be blunt here. There's a reason why a man and a woman and their body parts fit together perfectly when they're butt naked. That's the way God created it. That's the way that it works. That's the way that it's supposed to work. And then would they produce a child? That's natural. That's the way that it's supposed to be. And it always amazes me, even when I did the wrong things, and even when I took my daughter, if you will, to places of hurt and pain I wish I never had to do. I never forgot what the ideal is. The perfect idea of a family. And I understand not everyone is in this situation, but to throw away the baby with the bathwater is just stupid. The perfect idea of a family is a husband, a wife, and a child. You don't have to agree with it, but common sense tells you that is the way it's supposed to be, or your behind wouldn't even be born. So it makes no sense except for guilt and to excuse bad behavior that people would excuse this nonsense. And all this does is hurt. This hurts. This hurts the middle class. This hurts the poor. It's insane. Listen, we only got a minute and a half before the break, but let's take a call. Let's go to Diane in Houston, Texas. Diane, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You've done a great job for Larry. And I just want to throw two things out really fast.
Okay.
About the election, I feel like conservative circles are saying, just wait for 2022 and we're going to win it all back. But how do they think that we're going to have another fair election when we've never got our day in court for
are you there? You broke up on me, Diane. You broke up on me.
Okay.
We never got our day in court. Go real quick, please.
Yeah, we never got our day in court for all the irregularities in the last election. And then
Okay.
about COVID, I just want to say about COVID.
Okay.
Why aren't more people outraged about the numbers of deaths in America? We're the most advanced healthcare system in the world, and more than a year and a half later, we have more deaths than any country. I just don't understand why something can't be done about that. So I appreciate your thought, Carl.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that. Listen, I'll address both on the other side. The problem with the death numbers, they cannot be trusted. I'll get into that on the other side. And I got to be honest with you, compared to other parts of the world. Anyway, we'll get into that.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
The last 3 years of the Bush administration, I was the assistant U.S. trade rep for the Bush administration for public affairs, meaning I was just the spokesperson. And forever we would hear why we couldn't do things. We couldn't renegotiate NAFTA because, well, it was signed and sealed and we couldn't do this. And I get it, but that was the mentality.
Yes.
And frankly, that's the mentality that permeates government. And I get it. And so I was always like, okay, I get it. This is stupid, but we do have a signed deal. And you got a guy like Trump that comes in and you tell him, well, you know, there's this signed deal. And he says, so what? And
it was one of the most refreshing things about it.
And it was just, the thing that was so weird is if you think about it, why aren't more, because I don't think you should tear up everything for the sake of it.
No, but just ask the questions.
Right, ask the questions. Why do we just keep doing things the way that we always have? Why don't we challenge the system? Can it do better? Can we do better for the American people? Can we be more efficient and a better steward of their tax dollars? Can we deliver a better product? Do we still need to do what we're doing anymore? Yeah. Right? I mean, think about this. Trump's view was, you haven't modernized an agreement. When NAFTA was signed, there was no internet. So we're dealing with problems that didn't exist then that, frankly, when you signed the deal, you couldn't have even thought of. So why not modernize it? On behalf of America, that's what we're supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, it all worked out. And if you are in the car industry, you're getting a better deal now as an American worker in that industry. If you're a dairy farmer, you're getting a better deal. If you work in the technology field, your IP is more protected. But it was a way of thinking that had never come in before, because previously you would have had some guy that would have been like, okay, here's 18 PowerPoints and, you know, this is the process. And Trump was like, no, that's not it. If it's not working, screw it.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I have never seen in my life the orchestrated hatred to a group of Americans as I am seeing now. It's orchestrated hatred. You are allowed to hate the unvaccinated, even if the unvaccinated had COVID already, and there is no scientific reason whatsoever for them to take as minimal a risk as it is the vaccine. You are to hate these people. They are killers. They are killing you and themselves. This is this piece of crap governor of California on television.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
But the issue that is animating conservatives, animating moderates in a way that is unexpected, that is moving people in massive numbers in the state of Virginia and nationally, is education. It's the number one issue. 77% of conservatives say that curriculum and education is a major issue. 51% of liberals say that it's a major issue. You go through the polling in Virginia. How much of a factor is each of these choices for your choice of governor? Abortion policy is 58% major factor, but curriculum on race and history, 62%. Now, the number one issue is Virginia's economy still, but getting up there is crime and safety in Virginia. These are pretty good numbers, I have to say, for a Republican, meaning like these are issues that Republicans usually do very well with. And now we're in this circumstance where Democrats, people on the left, on television are no longer able to hide. They are trying to change the baseline of what is the new normal. The Great Reset, if you will. They are trying to propagandize you and gaslight you into saying, well, of course, parents don't have any say over their kids' education. They never used to say this. They used to hide it. They used to disguise it. They used to camouflage it. Now they're outright saying it. Virginia gubernatorial candidate Terry McAuliffe has come out and he said in his debate with Youngkin, quote, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach. He thought this was going to be like a big kind of rallying moment. Like,
keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
And then on CNN, Cut 43, they have come out and they've said, look, let's be very clear. We need to start trusting our teachers more. Enough of this kind of parent involvement thing. We're in charge. The state's in charge. Cut 43.
Of too many people who know little or nothing about education trying to tell professionals who are in this industry who've been working hard. We're coming in as weekend warriors trying to tell them about what education should look like. We need to put a little bit more trust in our educators because they've actually spent the time and energy necessary to really understand some of the nuances that are being kind of just blown over here in this conversation.
The nuances blown over. You hear that? Some 25-year-old University of Maryland educated Marxist knows about the nuances of your child better than you. I mean, come on, you got to trust the experts, everybody. And this really does show the divide as we dedicate this hour to what's going on with education in our country, which is the most important issue outside of immigration, election integrity. All those things are important. But I think everyone agrees that if we do not get education on a better path, the country is done. A majority of people in my generation thinks America's a terrible country. That is not sustainable. And this really kind of goes to the divide in the country, which is, do we trust a group of unelected, unknown experts to be in charge of important things, or do we trust parents, citizens, to have the liberty and the freedom to be able to make better choices?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Tom, you'll be next up, but first I got to go to my guest. Listen, Roxanne Hogue, you are fighting a battle in California that's worth fighting, and apparently California schools are performing some walkouts. Welcome to the Larry Elder Show. I can't wait to hear about it.
Hi, Carl, and thank you so much for spreading the word. Yeah, tomorrow the entire state is rallying for parental rights and having kids keep your kids home from school on that day because, first of all, public schools don't deserve the funding. And second of all, we want to send a really clear message that parents get to have a say in their children's medical processes.
Roxanne, I can't believe that those words have to even be expressed in America today. It's totally insane. Explain to me how it works quickly. So if a child is pulled out of school, is it for an extended period of time? How does it work that the school loses funding? At what point does the school lose funding if the child doesn't attend school?
So California, of course, because they're so squirrely up in Sacramento, they're always trying to find ways around this. But basically, the schools get funding based on the days that your kid is in. Sick days, however, do not count against them. So the message is clear. Keep your kid home from school. You guys can maybe, go to a theme park. You can spend the day perhaps actually learning something by going to one of our great museums or places that are available and around in nature here that are still open. We're asking people, of course, unless your kid has a truancy problem already, don't excuse the absence. Just have them be absent, and then it's going to hit them in the wallet. And we're also having rallies at various locations like the one we're having here in Simi Valley.
So how often and frequently do you guys plan to do this?
Well, once would be really great, wouldn't it? If it got the point across.
Okay.
I think you can see that when parents push back, that they're not used to it, right?
Yes,
so
right.
It would be great. Actually, Mark Changizi, who's a doctor who talks about the incredible harm that masks do, says, it'd be great if rather than parents having to become science experts and show up to board meetings and do all these, do all this learning and arguing, it'd be really great if school board members would show up to meetings and defend why closures, masks, and vaccines are needed, effective, and without harm. That would be great.
Now, okay, so this is over vaccine mandates. You said that parents are showing they're just not used to this. Let me ask you this. Obviously, this is a big fight, and this is a huge fight over vaccine mandates. Have you guys seen any results? Have you seen any, any repentance from any teachers whatsoever? Or do you feel like you're up against a brick wall when it comes to the educational system in California?
Well, let's divide that into a couple. Let's unpack that a little bit. So first of all, teachers, totally not the enemy. Teachers, by and large, want to teach. That's why they got into the classroom. They have a love of a subject or of kids or of learning. Teachers' unions, that's a whole
gotcha.
Issue.
Okay.
So it's not just about vaccine mandates, by the way. I think what happened with locking down schools when most other countries in the world didn't, many other states didn't.
Right.
We saw the very real harms that were done to our kids, and then those of us who got to see and listen to Zoom school found out what
right.
I'm going to watch my language, what loads of interesting stuff that's organic and
right. Sure.
was being fed to our kids.
Yeah. Good. Listen, this is I'm so this is what I love. One of the things that I've been saying here, Roxanne, is as bad as things are, and particularly, quite honestly, for those of you in California, I do believe that the pendulum is going to swing. People are they're Americans, and at some point they get tired of being pushed around. And you look at what's happened. you look at what has happened with these vaccines and with these lockdowns. In a sense, had they not occurred, you wouldn't know that these people are completely corrupting and brainwashing your children. So in a way, the left totally exposed themselves, and I hope this ends up biting them in the butt.
Yep. And by the way, I have to say, I'm an immigrant from Jamaica and made my way to California as soon as I could. People love to make fun of California and dunk on California, but everything that happens here is coming for you in the rest of the country. So I know there are parents in Texas and Florida and North Carolina who are going to pull their kids as well in solidarity on Monday. But here in Simi Valley, we'll be at 2:30 out in the town center way in Simi Valley, and we're going to talk about why we're doing this. It's not just for our own individual kids. It's really for the heart of America and what it means. I mean, don't you remember Melissa Harris Perry, These Aren't Your Children?
Yes.
I beg to differ.
Yes, I do remember that. So basically, any child that's out of school, the school loses about $85 daily per student if the student is absent without an excuse.
Yes,
so that's
and here's the thing: it's hard to push back because for parents, especially, our schools are our community. They're our home. That's the center of our kids' life. So something like that, because people will say, oh, well, just do homeschool, just do private school. First of all, in California, Governor Hergel made a mandate for public and private, while keeping his kids in a place that was able to attend in-person school and not actually keep them on the vaccine schedule that everyone else is on. But you can be a little brave. And having them skip school on Monday, it's just a little bit of bravery.
all right. And what type of response are you guys seeing with students themselves? Are students fed up with the mask mandates, with the vaccine mandates? What are you seeing as far as the students are concerned?
So that falls into two camps, right? Depending on your child's age, their personality. Some are beaten. I mean, they're absolutely broken souls who think that if they lower a mask, they're going to kill grandma. And that's tragic, right?
Yeah.
And then some of them can't breathe and can't wait to get out of school at the end of the day and rip it off. But here in California, which has beautiful weather all the time, and that's why we live here, my kids are mandated to wear a mask outdoors. And most of the school is outdoors, right? Like, we don't have hallways and stuff. We're outside.
It's totally insane and it's totally unscientific. Listen, Roxanne, if people want to help you out or be a part of this movement or become informed about this movement, how can people find you? Where do people need to go to reach out to you?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at Roxanne, at Roxanne4AD46. Roxanne, FORAD46. And I'll be sure to share your information with the organizers. I'm just a lone mom in a minivan, but there's a million more of us. And we'll be darned if you're going to tell me what my kids can and can't do. In terms
Roxanne, you're not just a mom in a minivan. You're a juggernaut. And we need more people exactly like you. This is what it's going to take to save America. So God bless you for what you are doing. I'm proud of what you're doing, and I hope it goes well for you.
Thank you so much, and we hope to see everybody out there on Monday.
All right. Good job, Roxanne. Good job. All right. This is Carl Jackson filling in for Larry Elder at the ReliefFactor.com studio, 888-971-7243. More of your calls on the other side. Tom, I see you. I'll be coming to you next.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
You can stop an earthquake. Doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Judge Judge Thomas, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. I was under constant attack. You're not really black because you're not doing what we expect black people to do. This is the wrong black guy. He has to be destroyed.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I have never seen in my life the orchestrated hatred to a group of Americans as I am seeing now. It's orchestrated hatred. You are allowed to hate the unvaccinated, even if the unvaccinated had COVID already, and there is no scientific reason whatsoever for them to take as minimal a risk as it is the vaccine. You are to hate these people. They are killers. They are killing you and themselves. This is this piece of crap governor of California on television.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Bank transactions. The Democrats want the IRS to snoop around and check out what you're doing if you have a bank account with more than $600 in it. They want to get involved in your PayPal transactions. You're sending money to your kids. The IRS wants to know all about that. They think they can drag more money out of us. Like the IRS. And the Democrats' scheme is we got to figure a way to pay for all this crap. All this spending the Democrats want. Okay, here's the way we can do it. Let's go audit a bunch of people and let's go check out grandma sending $601 to their grandkid via PayPal. And when a reporter pointed out to Pelosi that Americans are livid about this, and is it going to stay in your reconciliation bill? Pelosi had a very predictable answer.
Yes, there are concerns that some people have, but if people are breaking the law and not paying their taxes, one way to track them is through the banking measure. I think 600, but that's a negotiation that will go on as to what the amount is. But yes.
Yes. You think a multi-millionaire like Nancy Pelosi cares about a hardworking person being tracked by the IRS? If you have a transaction over $600, yes, some people are calling the bank. You better call your bank. You got a relationship with a local banker? You better call him or her, and you better demand there be a pushback.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in to the ReliefFactor.com studio, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Just a reminder, the great Eldersky will be back in the seat on Monday, October 18th. Listen, I'm looking forward to hearing the show myself. It should be a great and exciting time. And obviously, listen, this has been a dream come true, and this has been absolutely amazing. Again, you can follow me on Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio, Twitter, at Carl Jackson Show, Instagram, The Carl Jackson Show, my website, carljacksonshow.com, and I will let you know what I am up to next. So I'm going to keep fighting for my dream. And listen, I love every single one of you guys out there that listen and that's tuned in, and many of you that have many of you that have messaged me and just been so nice and amazing. I've gotten some really nasty messages as well, but you know what? Hey, listen, that means that you're striking a chord, and I'm okay with that. I don't like getting them, but I know that I'm striking a chord, and so and so that's cool. Let's take a call real quick, and then I want to get back onto this issue of the two-parent families, because I think this is something, listen, even if you're in a divorce home, even if you're a single person, this is something that we should all advocate for. It doesn't matter what your situation is. You never throw out the ideal. It's the dumbest thing ever. Otherwise, you'll have nothing to look towards. I don't understand it. The left does it, but they don't practice it. Even Pete Buttigieg, as Trump would say, even though he's in a gay relationship, he wants that. I miss laughing at Trump. I can't lie. Or laughing with Trump even. He was hilarious. All right. And is hilarious, quite frankly. All right. So two-parent families, even Pete Buttigieg understands it. And the left understands it. Jennifer Psaki advocates for abortion and all this kind of stuff. But she has a traditional family home. They get it. They get it. It's just not for what they spew is for you. It's not for them. Because they understand that the family is the best training ground you can give any person, when they start with life. Let's go to Tom in Atlanta, Georgia. Tom, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Okay, Carl. First of all, a great job. You guys could interchange at some point. We wouldn't know, kind of thing. You're just both excellent. But before I get to my point about alluding to closely aligned with what you're talking about with the traditional family and everything, I'm going to go to the movie Roots with John Amos. But you've talked about you've strung together the last ad about, I think it was Pure Talk, and then you said something about one of America's best secrets, and right after that you mentioned the Carl Jackson show. So I'm not sure, were you referring to one of America's best kept secrets as Pure Talk, or you, or maybe both?
I must have had a slip up there. Maybe I mentioned my website, carljacksonshow.com.
Yeah, but that was good. That was slick. Anyway, so good job. Anyway, if we think about all that you're talking about, the family and the crazies from the left, and we go back to that movie Roots, when they chopped off Kunta Kinte's part of his foot to keep him from getting too far off the plantation.
Right.
I'm going to ask you, because you can speak to this much better than Paleface Tom. Do you think that that's what the left and the Democrats have done to the minority community with all of their handouts and their food stamps and their welfare and their rules about getting dad out of the household so that they can get more welfare? If all that whole thing, to me, seems to be a way to keeping the not so well off and the minority community on the urban plantation.
Tom,
I would love to hear your comments.
Let me tell you, that was good. That was good. And let me tell you this too, Tom. And I want every white person out there to hear this, particularly when you're not a racist. I think that's a great metaphor to use with blacks as whites. You come with people from a point of love, from a perspective of love. You share stuff like that. Listen, it's not going to work with everyone, but it will work with some people. But you just have to bring other things with it. Sometimes you have to bring stats. You have to bring facts. The fact that for instance, black marriages were the most predominant marriage. Black people were more likely to get married and stay together before the war on poverty. I mean, we're doing a great job. You can go back to the 20s and the 30s, and it's insane when you look at the marriage rate. The marriage rate for blacks was over 70%. And now we've totally flipped the script. So you have to just look at that. And honestly, you point that out to blacks and you just ask the question, what happened? Here's what I think happened. What do you think happened? Honestly, a lot of times you have to get people to think, and it's sad, but I believe that the left, along with the Democrat Party, the media, they beat up on the black community so long. We've bought into it hook, line, and sinker, and we don't know what real love is anymore. We don't know what true love is anymore. But true love isn't making a person dependent. True love is helping an individual, particularly in America, become independent and being the creature that God created them to be. So, Tom, listen, I appreciate the call. I appreciate you bringing up that point. I thought that was really good. And listen, you're white, but you're not racist. When you have a brother in Christ or just a dear friend, perhaps that's not religious, don't be afraid to share that with a black person. They may need to hear it. You may be that person that either turns their life towards God, turns their life towards conservatism in a free America. This is what the left wants us to do. They want us all to just shut up and be silent. But if we're silent, people are hurt as a result of that. So we can't be silent. We can't be quiet anymore. The country is depending on us on not being silent. Real quickly before we go to the break, and you'll be my next call in North Carolina. Before we go to the break, a caller at the top of the last hour mentioned COVID and the elections. Listen, guys, yes, I do believe that the left, that the Democrats totally rigged the system in order to steal the election where they could. But here's the deal. We don't have to bow down to this. We don't have to be so fearful that they're going to do it again. What we need to be, because we have no other choice, is to be motivated to stop them by getting involved ourselves. Become a poll watcher. I'll address her other issue of COVID on the other side as well. We'll be back.
Stay tuned for more with guest host.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
In light of the belief of the CDC that 99%, 99% of the, help me out here, of the vaxxed, 99% of those hospitalized are not vaxxed, right? That's the claim. Or deaths? Okay. I think it's both hospitalized and deaths. Anyway, so if that's true, why do people give a hoot if people are not vaxxed? They're clearly not affecting the vaxxed, right? Given the spectacular success rate of the vaccination, why do you care if the next guy is vaxxed or not? And don't tell me, because they're taking up hospital space. So are motorcyclists who don't have helmets. So were folks who had men who had unprotected sex during the AIDS epidemic. So were cigarette smokers for a while. This is a new thing. You're taking up hospital space. So there is no threat to you who are vaccinated by the unvaccinated. You can't have it both ways. It's 99% effective, but you must get vaxxed. It's all about control. I told you that. That's how I began the hour. No, I actually began the hour about the Seattle city attorney race. But I want you to understand what this is about. You have the audacity to defy the left? F you. That is all it is about. That is what it is about for Joe Biden. The weakest, wimpiest guy to ever hold the office of president. He is the antithesis of a leader. We have a sheep as president.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Thomas, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I did. I was under constant attack. You're not really black because you're not doing what we expect black people to do. This is the wrong black guy. He has to be destroyed.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
57 Muslim states in the world, one Jewish state.
Jewish people returning to the hills of Judea.
There's hope here, if you know where to look for it.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
There's no doubt about it. America is in the middle of a culture war. The battle between left and right is real. One side believes in American greatness. The other wants to tear it down. The Salem Radio Network and the Salem Podcast Network is looking for a few warriors who are already fighting this war. This is your chance to nominate a person worthy of the honor of being Salem's Culture Warrior of 2021. Go to this show's website and click on the banner. Help us select Salem's Culture Warrior of the Year.
Let me tell you guys something. Let me give props to Sean McConnell. I mean, this is all right. It's just been a great ride. It's been a great ride. And best music man, best engineer in the business, bar none. I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's close. All right, let's jeez, that screwed me up. You may have to play a little you may have to play a little more music, Sean. All right. Listen, I wanted to address the woman that called at the top of the hour. I believe it was Diane in Houston, Texas, and I kind of reject the premise of the question when it comes to COVID. I don't believe that people aren't concerned about COVID. I don't believe that people aren't concerned about the high death rates when it comes to COVID. But there's something going on that we know is just wrong. And for one, here's what we've experienced right here in Florida. So, for instance, the left-wing media will attack Governor DeSantis, and they'll throw out these numbers of all these people that have died of COVID. Now, there's no distinguishment from those that have died with COVID. And then later, it may be weeks, it may be a month, you'll get some correction on the numbers. But we still don't know because we don't collect data in the United States like they collect in the UK, like they collect in Israel. And so we know that they're pulling the wool over our eyes, and they're making this thing political. And then they're just not being straight with us because it's endemic. It's a coronavirus. People research it. It isn't going anywhere. I don't care what they do. It isn't going any. They cannot get rid of the common cold. They're not getting rid of this thing over time as we develop. And I'm not a doctor, but I can read just like anyone else. So over time, as this thing continues to spread, it's going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. Our immune systems are going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. It's another reason why I'm against the mask. It makes no sense, particularly for young kids, to be wearing masks when they have these great immune systems. And now, I mean, I don't know what they're doing to their lungs. God knows. God only knows what are going to be the long-term ramifications of this stuff. But I think people are just totally fed up with the fake science when it comes to COVID. It's not that we're not concerned about the death rates, but can you tell me the death rates of cancer? Can you tell me the death rate of the flu? Because the flu is much more likely to kill a young person than COVID. And that's where the frustration comes in. So when you talk about the death rate of COVID, yeah, I think, sure, we should be concerned. But also, I want you to go and look at the death rate of, the death rate of cancer, or whatever other ailment, the flu, for God's sakes, this year. We have no idea because they're intentionally, constantly bombarding us with these numbers to keep us all in fear. And the bottom line is that we know over 99.5, it may even be 99.7% of people are not going to die from COVID. Will it kick your butt? Yes, it kicked my butt. I'm not going to lie. But that's another thing. That's what therapeutics are for. So if these doctors, if these scientists would prescribe these things early, look at what they did with Joe Rogan. He was feeling it. He got tested. He realized that he had it. Within a day, he was over it because he threw every therapeutic at it imaginable, including ivermectin. And I believe in an earlier video that I saw of him, I believe he even said hydroxychloroquine. And this is the frustration with it. So it's here to stay. How do we live with it? How do we live with it? Because it isn't going anywhere. And I mean, just look up. We haven't. With the best technology, with the best doctors, we have not gotten rid of COVID. Of coronaviruses. We just haven't. Now, this one can be a little more deadly because it impacts the respiratory system. I get it. But we're just tired, and we're sick and tired of the games. And again, as far as the elections, guys, we can't. We got to do what we can to find out what happened and fix whatever happened last year in our own states. But after that, we need to get focused on 2022 and stop talking about how we're going to lose and start figuring out what you're going to do to make sure election theft doesn't happen in your town again. We have to be just as vigilant on both ways. Find out what happened and make sure it doesn't happen again. Mo.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
About your time in the White House, what kind of a ride that was for you. We played this clip at the beginning, this insanity. Why didn't you mention this? You mean the thing I talked about 2 days ago at length from this point? But he didn't tweet about it. I mean, just the sheer insanity. Talk to us about what that was like to live through. And then give us your take on what went wrong in the Trump administration. What went right, what went wrong?
So, I mean, look, it was tumultuous. It was intense. I think that, look, this goes back to what we were just talking about. Trump upset the apple cart. And every president, both parties that come in, need three groups, right? You need the press, you need donors, and you need sort of the permanent K Street lobbyist types. Trump's view was, if you want to join me, great, but I don't need you. Yeah. And what happened was...
Because he won without them.
Yes. And they were... But here's the thing. I'll say it in a very PG way, but like they're used to having their butt kissed. And they're used to people saying, I'd love to have you come over to my house in Georgetown for a dinner party where we can discuss the ins and outs of the NATO, it's like they want you to, and he was like, look, I'm doing this. I'm doing it this way.
If you want to join me,
If you want to join me, great, but I don't need you. And it pissed them off.
Yeah. This, especially the conservatives, who thought that they were, the Bill Cristols of the world. So, what do you mean you're not coming to me for a briefing as a candidate?
How do you do this?
How dare you?
How dare you? I'm part of the institution.
Right.
I come
Kiss
with
the ring.
I come with the drapes.
Right.
And I think that was upset, and especially for the press corps. And that was their thing, is that they were like, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to act this way. You're supposed to... And again, my sort of marching orders from Trump were get my message out, do what I want.
So
keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
It occurs that today, when we're talking, 22 of the 25 ranked colleges in national football by the AP are in red states: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. And in some of those 25 that are in purple states, like Penn State, are in the red part of the purple state. Only Oregon and San Diego State are in blue state. Do you have a theory? I do, as to why college football succeeds in red states far beyond the way it succeeds in blue states today?
Well, I think it represents this. It doesn't, and it's unlike pro football, which has become performance woke art. I think a lot of people in these places incorporate going out to a Saturday football game as in the same sense as 4th of July or standing for the national anthem or singing God Bless America. It's a festive public ritual for red state America, and in a way that pro sports used to be, but now the NBA or the NFL, even Major League Baseball, has forfeited that. It's become a Hollywood-centric or celebrity-centric or New York-centric sport. So I think and actually their popularity is increasing as a result that people innately like sports, but they're shifting from pro sports, I think, to what you talk about.
Well, I also want to add to your assessment. When you think about this, the red states are least amenable to woke college politics.
You're generally correct, because especially the Board of Regents or the overseers, they come from business, they come from all walks of life, and they just don't put up with it.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Man, that's a good song. All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I'm your special guest host, Carl Jackson, filling in for the great Eldersky. Again, I just want to thank so many people. I want to thank the Forgotten Man. I want to thank Sean McConnell in my ear, Christian, William Kirby. It's been an amazing ride. Dennis Prager, Phil Boyce, you name it. It's just been absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you to every single one of you listeners that tuned in. Some of you called, many of you called actually, and left messages, thanking me for filling in for Larry Elder. And let me tell you, that does absolutely mean a lot to me. Larry Elder is he's a hero of mine. He absolutely is a hero of mine. And it's an honor to be able to fill in and not destroy his show. I wanted to make sure I didn't destroy his show, and I didn't. So thank you, and thank you for all the guys that helped to make sure that didn't happen as well. Let's take another call real quick, and then I want to wrap up on this issue with the parents, this issue, and how can people reach, how can the Republican Party reach black voters? It's how you reach any voter, but I'll get into that shortly as well. Let's go to Ann in North Carolina. Ann, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Thank you. It's been an amazing ride for us, too. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Anyway, I listened to you at first on the radio, then satellite knocked out my radio, just squeezed it out. So I called the answer, that station. Anyway, she told me about the computer. So I got you on my computer, and believe me, I'll be looking for you on my computer from now on. You're just absolutely great.
Wow,
you give us so much to think about. And I was surprised when I saw you on the computer. You're a beautiful young man. And
Thank you.
It's just a joy to watch you. So I'll be looking for you, and I'm just telling you, you gave us so much to think about. Something new every 10 or 15 minutes. And that one special was day before yesterday, I think. Anyway, you told us what's wrong with the white man now. You know, why they just don't get up and do. And those are words you used, and it wasn't what I'm thinking now because I'm absent-minded. But anyway, you're just great. I appreciate you, and I'll be looking for you on my computer.
And thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in and waiting patiently to share that. God bless you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Let's go to Noreen in Riverside. Noreen, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Okay, well, first off, Carl, I appreciate what you've done
Thank
for
you.
us while Carl's away, while Larry's away. But I wanted to talk about the problem with the Pfizer vaccine.
Okay.
2 different medical doctors have called in to talk about it, and on some patients, that vaccine wipes out the platelets. The platelets are responsible for clotting blood. If you don't have platelets, you get no clotting, and you soon bleed to death, either by a brain hemorrhage or something else. And the word really needs to get out about this. Don't ever take it. My husband and I had it before we knew there was a problem with it, and we haven't had any side effects. But some people do, and this is a terrible side effect, to wipe out your platelets altogether. And both doctors said they'd never seen cases of no platelets. They've seen low platelets, but never no cases, no platelets. And so I wanted to share that if you didn't already know it, to get the word out and to get people, this is stuff that's still developed, and nobody knows what all can happen to people to take them. I wouldn't take any now.
Noreen, listen, I appreciate the call. I appreciate your passion for it, and what I would say is to anyone that's considering the vaccine, just go out and do your research. I've decided not to take the vaccine. I have natural immunity. Listen, I don't know how long natural immunity will last. I suspect, just like all of us, I'll get COVID. I suspect all of us will. We'll get COVID again. It's my personal opinion that based on stuff that I've read, that over time it will weaken as it goes through the population, and I feel like we're prolonging this thing by not allowing it to do so. The Amish community, although they don't allow people to come in and do testing and all that kind of stuff, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, are convinced that they've received herd immunity simply because they allowed it to hit the entire community. They felt like it was more important to keep working, to be able to spend time with family and friends and so on, etc., instead of allowing it to take you down. Okay, so just real quick again, let me just touch up on this issue with the 2-parent families and how that's racist. Of course, the left wants everything to be racist because the left needs voting blocks. So it's LGBTQ and whatever other letter they can add. It's blacks. It's people of color now. Everything they can to divide. And it's like, okay, illegal immigrants. By the way, I just read this on Breitbart. So now illegal immigrants that have come into the country and fraudulently, so here it is, report. DHS Chief Alejandro Mayorkas is considering excusing immigration fraud. So people that have come in and lied about their naturalized American citizenship may be allowed to keep their American citizenship. And all this is creating new voter blocks and victim voter blocks for the left. That's what they want. And now maybe single moms, maybe single dads, people that are disgruntled, maybe their marriage failed, whatever it may be. This is just another attempt to create another victim block.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Arizona State University the other day. Well, now and they were apparently illegal immigrants by their own description. They're illegals. They're dreamers. Please, Senator Sinema, my grandfather just died. My dad died a year ago. Everybody's dying in their lives, and they can't go to the funeral. That seems to be the big complaint. I got an idea. You can go to Mexico. You can go to the funeral. Go pay respects to your loved ones instead of worrying about the free ride you're getting here in the United States. People are getting fed up with this kind of arrogance. And for the left to constantly demean this country as being such a horrible place, if we're such a horrible place, why does this country allow illegals to stalk and harass female senators without any consequences or any accountability whatsoever? Who are these people? I saw a report that they're being funded by Soros. Don't know if it's true or not. Might be. I saw that in the Washington Examiner. There's a report out that these illegal immigrants who are accosting Senator Kyrsten Sinema are actually part of an orchestrated effort. Seems pretty coincidental to me. Seems more than a coincidence that the illegal who confronted Sinema in the bathroom had a grandfather who died a couple of weeks ago, and then another illegal who accosted Senator Sinema on an airplane had a father who died, I think, last year. That seems to be a theme. Have you noticed?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
You know, Seb, the one thing that was fascinating that I always tell people is that for the last 3 years of the Bush administration, I was the assistant U.S. trade rep for the Bush administration for public affairs, meaning I was just the spokesperson. And forever we would hear why we couldn't do things. We couldn't renegotiate NAFTA because, well, it was signed and sealed and we couldn't do that. And I get it, but that was the mentality.
Yes.
And frankly, that's the mentality that permeates government. And I get it. And so I was always like, okay, I get it. This is stupid, but we do have a signed deal. And you got a guy like Trump that comes in and you tell him it. Well, you know, there's this signed deal. And he says, so what? And
it was one of the most refreshing things about it.
And it was just, the thing that was so weird is if you think about it, why aren't more, because I don't think you should tear up everything for the sake of it.
No, but just ask the questions.
Right, ask the questions.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at Rumble.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. This is Carl Jackson. Last few minutes of the program. Again, it's just been an amazing honor stepping in for the great Eldersky. It's been an honor just fighting for freedom with every single one of you listeners out there. And please, don't give up the fight. Just do not give up the fight. This country is worth fighting for. This country is worth saving. I do want to say there was so much that I didn't get to tonight because I just wanted to hear from a lot of you guys. There was a UK politician, David Amess, that was stabbed to death. And it just reminded me of how nasty and dangerous the left has become. And to pray even for, Kyrsten Sinema, pray for Joe Manchin. I don't agree with their politics, but the left is putting them in dangerous situations. And we need to pray, even for those that we disagree with, we need to pray for our leaders and pray for their safety. And this was just a devastating and a very sad and horrible reminder. I want these people to lose. And if they're corrupt, I would like for them to go to jail. But I do not want to see anyone physically harmed and especially murdered like this gentleman was. So continue to pray for our leaders. I know it's difficult at times, but you never know. You never know what God can do. What was I going to say? Also, there's this how the Freedom to Vote Act. The left is trying to create this the Freedom to Vote Act is what they're calling it. Basically trying to claim that our voting system is completely racist. Don't let these people divide us. Don't let them divide us. If you want to win people, I don't care if it's blacks to the GOP or Latinos or whomever, you know what? Just show up. One of the things that the left does well, even though they do things wrong, is they show up. So once people realize you care and you can have those one-on-one conversations with them, maybe it's not, maybe you're not throwing some big shindig or something like that, but just show up and show people how much you care about them. And oftentimes, at least, if nothing else, you won't be enemies. But let's continue to fight for this country. This is the greatest country that God has ever given man, and it's worth fighting for. We are not a systemically racist country. We are not a bad country. I believe that we are. Listen, the reason why God allowed us to be here is because we got a lot to do. When God gives you a lot of blessing, you have a responsibility to bless others. As Americans, we have an obligation to bless not just this country, I believe the entire world. Until next time, don't grow weary doing good.